morning and welcome back to ContraPeso Noticias. We're glad you're joining us. Broadcasting live from Chiapas, Mexico, I'm Acevedo and it's 9:30 a.m. local time. We begin this morning with the latest national headlines and stories making news across the country. Quintana Roo Governor Mara Lezama met with Hector Alonso, head of Mexico National Customs Agency, for a working session that included a tour of Cancun International Airport to review ongoing improvement and coordinated new efforts aimed at strengthening custom operation while enhancing the travel experience for passengers traveling at one of the country's busiest air hubs. During the visit, both officials inspect the airport engaged claim area, where they evaluate the procedures currently in place to reduce waiting times and improve efficiency for both international visitors and domestic travelers entering this popular tourism destination. They also review custom inspection checkpoints to identify opportunities for streamlining clearance procedures while maintaining security standards and improving a smoother experience for the millions of passengers who pass through the terminal every year. Authorities also announced plans for the Customs Administration to acquire new specialized scanning equipment, along with the addition of more personnel to reinforce inspection operation, reduce processing times, and uphold security standards. Officials further review progress on the Southern Customs Logistics Complex project, an initiative designed to strengthen Quintana Roo's custom and logistic infrastructure while supporting the continued growth of international trade and tourism. And now, with another news, alumnos de nivel secundaria del Instituto Hispano Jaime Sabines obtienen una destacada participación en el Mundialito Interprepas 2026 de Fútbol 5. El Instituto Hispano felicita con gran orgullo a los alumnos de nivel secundaria por su destacada participación en el Mundialito de Fútbol 5. Su entusiasmo, disciplina, trabajo en equipo y espíritu deportivo los llevaron a disputar una emocionante gran final, donde obtuvieron un marcador de 2-1, conquistando con orgullo el segundo lugar del torneo. Cada partido fue una muestra de su esfuerzo, dedicación y pasión por representar dignamente a la institución. Gracias por poner en alto el nombre del Instituto Hispano Jaime Sabines. Muchas felicidades a los jugadores quienes hicieron posible este logro. And now continue with more news. Federal Congresswoman Jessica Acevedo announced that she recently met with residents of a neighborhood in Cholul, where she shares updates of the initiative and action being promoted through the Citizen Security Commission, the legislative committee she chairs, with the goal of keeping local communities informed about the work being carried out to strengthen public safety policies. During the gathering, the lawmaker explained that the meeting like this help bring the legislative process closer to communities across Yucatan by encouraging direct communication between elected officials and residents. She said the objective is to ensure citizens remain informed about the initiative, proposal, and result emerging from Mexico Chamber of Deputies and understand how those direct decisions affect their daily life. She also emphasized that this conversation provides an opportunity to answer questions and address concerns from community members while improving public access to information related to security policies and current legislation. And Yucatan Senator Jorge Carlos Ramírez Marín discussed the upcoming changes to the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, or UNSCA, and the potential impact those modifications will have on Mexico during the new edition of his informational series, Chronicles from the Senate. During his presentation, the senator outlined the key adjustments expected under the trade agreement and highlighted several economic indications that, he said, demonstrate Mexico's financial strength and his ability to face the new challenges that could emerge as agreement undergoes its next round of updates. And President Claudia Sheinbaum stated that his administration has no plans to introduce new taxes and expressed her disagreement with a proposal by Supreme Court Justice Lenia Batres that will impose taxes on inheritance and estates. Speaking during her morning press conference, the president acknowledged that inheritance taxes exist in many countries around the world. However, she emphasized that such a measure is not part of the fiscal agenda her administration intends to pursue. adding that she does not believe taxing inheritance will be appropriate under her government's current tax policy. In our case, we do not believe inheritance should be taxed, even though they are taxed in many countries around the world. It is not an unusual policy, but it is certainly not one of our administration will propose, the president said. And inflation in Mexico rose once again during June, reaching an annual rate of 3.37%, its lowest level since December 2021. It marked the third consecutive month of slowing inflation and, at first glance, appears to send an encouraging signal about the country's economic outlook. Even so, economists say several underlying factors remain in place, making it too early to declare victory over raising consumer prices. Much of the improvement was driven by lower agricultural prices, which fell 1.72% compared with a year earlier. On a monthly basis, Mexico's National Consumer Price Index declined 0.07%, representing the steepest drop over records for the month of June since official records began. Core inflation also continued to moderate, reaching 4.03% annually. However, service sector inflation has now remained above 4% for 55 consecutive months, highlighting that longer-term structural price pressure have yet to disappear. Economic analysts agreed that the latest improvement was largely the result of temporary factors. Gabriela Siller, director of economic analysis of Grupo Financiero Base, said the slowdown was mainly driven by non-core inflation, while Jerónimo Ugarte, chief economics at Valmex Block Rate host, attribute much of the decline of an almost 40% drop in tomato prices, cautioning that such a sharp decrease does not necessarily represent a lasting trend. Following the latest inflation report, financial institutions including Banorte and IMF revised their GN inflation forecast downward. Even so, analysts continue to urge caution, warning that the extreme weather conditions, volatility in energy markets, and ongoing geopolitical uncertainty could once again place upward pressure on prices during the second half of the year, keeping inflation one of Mexico's most significant economic challenges. And after 9 days filled with uncertainty, growing concern, and an intensive search effort, teenager Justin Enrique, 15, Jordan Isaac, age 14, and Christopher Alfredo, age 13, have been found alive and safely reunited with their families, bringing relief to a case that has kept the city of Guadalajara on edge. The three teenagers disappeared on June 30 after attending the graduation ceremony of Technical Secondary School 113. According to investigators, prosecutors have been examining the possibility that the boys had become victims of forced recruitment after reports indicate they had mentioned plans to travel to the mountains for work and were last seen with an unidentified individual. Through the 9-day search, relative organized demonstration search efforts, and social media campaigns demand the safe return to the teenagers. Hundreds of people joined those efforts by sharing missing person bulletins and posting messages of solidarity and support across multiple online platforms. So far, authorities have not disclosed how the three teenagers were located or the condition under which they were found. Nevertheless, the news have brought enormous relief to their families and to a community that closely followed the case, while waiting an answer that investigation hope will eventually provide a clearer picture of what happens. And Mexico's fight against fuel theft is no longer focused solely on illegal pipeline taps. The Office of the Attorney General has uncovered that investigators describe as a sophisticated criminal organization that took advantage of the country's international trade system to smuggle millions of liters of fuel into Mexico through an elaborate rail transportation scheme. According to federal authorities, the operation relied not on a single participant, but on an extensive network allergy, including importation company, custom brokers, a railroad operation, fuel distribution business, and financial entities responsible for moving money in ways intended to conceal the illegal origin of the fuel while avoiding tax payments. Investigators say the Matamoros Custom Office in the state of Tamaulipas served as one of the primary operational hubs for the network. There, fuel shipments were reportedly declared with volumes significantly lower than what was actually transported or falsely identified as different types of merchandise in order to reduce tax obligation. Authorities say the measure revealed the enormous scale of the operation, including millions of liters of diesel and other fuel products confiscated, along with hundreds of rail tank cars, tractor trailers, and fuel tank trucks. The attorney also confirmed that arrest warrants have been issued and the investigation now involves more than 70 individuals and corporate entities across 9 Mexican states, including public officials and former executives of the Matamoros Custom Office, among the military personnel who previously held senior positions. More than a traditional smuggling case, investigators say the operation exposed the ability to organize criminal groups to infiltrate logistical, administrative, and financial systems that are intended to guarantee legal commercial activity. Officials say the scope of the scheme demonstrates that the challenge extends far beyond confiscating illegal fuel, and now centered on dismantling the sophisticated networks that allow the operation to function for an extended period while maintaining the appearance of legality. And now we go to a short break and we'll look beyond Mexico and bring you an important international development. We'll be back after this short break.
Tranquilo, con acceso rápido a la ciudad. No esperes más. Haz de tu sueño una realidad. En Inmobiliaria Roca, más que inmuebles, decisiones con valor.
No se olvide que tenemos una cita en punto de las 8 de la mañana y posteriormente a las 9:30 para nuestro noticiero completamente en inglés. Soy Ana Acevedo y no olvide que esto es ContraPeso Noticias.
¿Listo para construir el futuro que deseas? En el Instituto Hispano Jaime Sabines te ofrecemos desde maternal, preescolar, primaria, secundaria, preparatoria, licenciaturas y maestrías. Instituto Hispano Jaime Sabines, formando valores para toda la vida.
Hace Impacto tiene la solución más sencilla y rápida que te puedas imaginar. Olvídate de complicaciones y maquinaria pesada. Con nuestro increíble asfalto en frío, solo necesitas de 3 herramientas básicas: una escoba para limpiar, un pisón para compactar y una palabra de adición para transformar tus vialidades. Así de fácil, en cuestión de minutos, ese molesto bache que te hacía perder tiempo y arriesgaba tu vehículo desaparecerá para siempre. La calidad duradera que Hace Impacto te ofrece es nuestro mayor compromiso. Queremos que disfrutes de caminos lisos y seguros sin largas esperas ni costosas reparaciones. Es tiempo de experimentar la magia del asfalto en frío de Hace Impacto. Para conocer más sobre esta solución revolucionaria y devolverle la fluidez a tus calles, contáctanos ahora mismo vía WhatsApp al 981-829-0201. Tu camino libre de baches está a un mensaje de distancia.
Soy Monserrat González y te invito a sintonizarnos en punto de las 8 de la mañana porque estamos transmitiendo en vivo a través de Facebook, Instagram y YouTube. Recuerda que nosotros somos ContraPeso Noticias.
En el Instituto Hispano Jaime Sabines acompañamos a tus hijos desde sus primeros pasos hasta su formación como jóvenes responsables y preparados. Aquí se construyen metas, sueños y decisiones importantes. Inscripciones abiertas. Escríbenos al 961-252-6507 o comunícate al 961-604-1541. Desde maternal hasta licenciaturas, maestrías y doctorados, Instituto Hispano Jaime Sabines, formando valores para toda la vida.
Los muebles que tú necesitas para escuelas, oficinas, laboratorios y comercios los encuentras en Giré Muebles. El mejor precio, servicio y calidad es nuestro distintivo. Cotice hoy mismo al 961-2127-068, por WhatsApp al 961-279-4168.
En este noticiero que sabe escuchar, desde la sierra llega el clamor, se alza la noticia como un tambor. Montañas y ríos saben murmurar que lo importante aquí viene a informar.
Ya conoces al Teletón. Tal vez has visitado alguno de nuestros 27 centros. O conoces a alguien a quien le cambió la vida con sus terapias. Quizás conozcas el Hospital Infantil Teletón.
El Instituto Hispano Jaime Sabines cambia de imagen, pero con la misma calidad, seguridad, plan de estudios y la mejor modalidad para que estudies con nosotros, ya que te ofrecemos desde maternal, preescolar, educación primaria, educación secundaria, educación preparatoria, licenciaturas, maestrías y especialidades. Porque en el Instituto Hispano Jaime Sabines construimos las bases de tu futuro, formamos líderes del mañana. Invierte en su...
Hola, mi nombre es Emilia Sánchez Lazos, formo parte del equipo de alianzas estratégicas del CRIT Chiapas y el día de hoy queremos invitarlos a ser parte del programa de crowdfunding Teletón, un programa en el cual puedes ser padrino o madrina de una necesidad específica de uno de nuestros niños en el centro. Actualmente tenemos más de 10 casos activos, desde estudios médicos como exomas hasta andaderas y algunos otros aditamentos que pueden cambiar la vida diaria de nuestros niños. Tu apoyo es lo más especial porque al final serás tú quien entregue el donativo y podrás conocer a la familia de tu ahijado o ahijada. Te invitamos a ser parte de este programa y poder ser el o la heroína de uno de nuestros niños. Para más información, no duden en contactarse con los datos del CRIT Chiapas que estarán apareciendo en pantalla. Muchísimas gracias por ser parte de esta familia Teletón.
Invierte en tu futuro. Terrenos en venta con el clima perfecto, ubicados estratégicamente, con escritura pública. Disfruta del confort de vivir en un lugar tranquilo con acceso rápido a la ciudad. No esperes más. Haz de tu sueño una realidad. En Inmobiliaria Roca, más que inmuebles, decisiones con valor.
No se olvide que tenemos una cita en punto de las 8 de la mañana y posteriormente a las 9:30 para nuestro noticiero completamente en inglés. Soy Ana Acevedo y no olvide que esto es ContraPeso Noticias.
Listo para construir el futuro que deseas. En el Instituto Hispano Jaime Sabines te ofrecemos desde maternal, preescolar, primaria, secundaria, preparatoria, licenciaturas y maestrías. Instituto Hispano Jaime Sabines, formando valores para toda la vida.
Hace Impacto tiene la solución más sencilla y rápida que te puedas imaginar. Olvídate de complicaciones y maquinaria pesada. Con nuestro increíble asfalto en frío, solo necesitas de 3 herramientas básicas: una escoba para limpiar, un pisón para compactar y una palabra de adición para transformar tus vialidades. Así de fácil, en cuestión de minutos, ese molesto bache que te hacía perder tiempo y arriesgaba tu vehículo desaparecerá para siempre. La calidad duradera que Hace Impacto te ofrece es nuestro mayor compromiso. Queremos que disfrutes de caminos lisos y seguros sin largas esperas ni costosas reparaciones. Es tiempo de experimentar la magia del asfalto en frío de Hace Impacto. Para conocer más sobre esta solución revolucionaria,
The fragile balance in the Middle East has once again been shattered. The conflict between the United States and Iran escalated after Tehran attacked at least 3 commercial vessels in the Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's most strategic maritime routes for the global oil trade. The response came quickly. The United States Central Command reports strike against more than 80 Iranian military targets, and days after, a new offensive increased the number of report targets to nearly 90. Far from containing the conflict, Iran's response expanded the scope of the confrontation with missile launch toward Gulf countries, while Bahrain and Kuwait activated their warning system. The exchange of attacks confirmed that diplomacy is once again losing ground at a moment when it needs the most. The specialist security company, Marisk, warned that this renewed tit for tat escalation represents the return of direct military confrontation, a warning that appears to have arrived too late because while political statements continue hurling precision, missiles are once again sitting the place of events. United States President Donald Trump declared the Memorandum of Understanding with Iran determined and described any attempt of negotiation as useless. On the other side, Tehran responded with the same defiant tone, making clear that it also has no intention of backing down. In the dispute, the Strait of Hormuz has once again become much more than a maritime route. It has become a tool of political, economic, and military pressure. Attack on vessels, alleged $1 million toll demands, and uncertainty surrounding energy supplies are already beginning to impact global oil price. And 2 weeks after the devastating earthquake struck Venezuela, the human impact continued to grow. The official death toll has risen to 3,889 people, while the number of injured remained close to 70,000, reflecting the magnitude of a tragedy that continues leaving deep scar on thousands of families. According to a report released by National Assembly President Jorge Rodriguez, the earthquake measured 7.2 and 7.5 in magnitude and recorded on June 24 also left 17,907 people without homes, forcing them to confront the difficult task of rebuilding their life after losing everything. One of the hardest hit areas was the coastal state of La Guaira, where more than 1,800 buildings suffered damage, including 190 that completely collapsed, demonstrating the devastating force of the seismic activity on the region infrastructure. As recovery efforts continue, Vice President Delcy Rodriguez requests the release of Venezuelan resources currently frozen abroad in order to address the emergency. Meanwhile, the United Nations is working to raise nearly $300 million to support relief and reconstruction efforts. The International Monetary Fund and Venezuela are also holding discussions aimed at speeding up access to the country's financial assets, with the goal of strengthening the emergency response to a disaster that, 2 weeks after occurring, continues to carry a heavy human cost and leave thousands of people in vulnerable conditions. And former Supreme Leader of Iran, Ali Khamenei, was buried this Friday in Mashhad, his hometown, following several days of funeral ceremony that coincided with a renewed escalation in tension between the United States and Iran. A state television reported that the burial took place at the Imam Reza Shrine, considered the holiest site in Shia Islam in the country. Images released by authorities show the coffin being carried into the religious complex. Although Mojtaba Khamenei, the former leader's son and successor, was not seen attending the ceremony. A day earlier, thousands of people gathered for the final public tribute in Mashhad, accompanying the funeral procession on their extreme head to honor the man who led the Islamic Republic for nearly 37 years. And tension between Russia and several European countries continue rising in a scenario that is once again triggering international concern. While NATO leaders met in Turkey to discuss regional security, the Russian government intensified their rhetoric against countries supporting Ukraine, fueling a climate of confrontation that appears to push any possibility of stability further away. Russian President Vladimir Putin accused European governments of tending to prolong the conflict and warned that Moscow will analyze each country's involvement in military operations in order to make further decisions. This was followed by a statement from Russian Foreign Intelligence Service, which blamed the British government for allegedly support an Ukrainian attack against a museum in Sevastopol, an accusation that London has not publicly responded to. At the same time, the border between Russia and Finland has once again become a point of tension. Finland's parliament decision to remove restrictions related to nuclear weapons sparked a strong restriction for Moscow, which described the move as a threat to national security and warned of possible political and military responses. Lithuania is also considering challenges to its legislation in the same direction, while Baltic countries continue exchanging accusations with Russia. However, while governments and global powers exchange threats, those facing the most severe consequences continue to be civilians, forced to live under uncertainty, displacement, and constant fear. The escalation of this conflict once again serves as a reminder that when diplomacy gives way to confrontation, the consequences go beyond regional stability. It also threatens the daily lives of millions of people who, despite having no role in political or military decisions, continue carrying the heaviest burden of war. And that was our last story. Thank you for staying with us and trusting us to keep you informed. Have a wonderful day, stay safe, and we'll see you soon. Remember, this is ContraPeso Noticias.